We are going to talk two things which are both related to the presidency. We are going to talk two things which are both related to the presidency. We are going to talk about Ruto being a unique president, the first ever in Kenya's history to side with the police. Other presidents before him were against the police, even when the police was right. Now, Ruto is siding with the police, even when the police is wrong. We are also going to talk about Occupy State House. We are going to look at other young people in Africa and in the whole world where young people have done youth uprising. Whenever I talk, people say, Mzee, you had your time. But even when we were young, we had youth uprising. And I'll name them. And I'll name them how their effect was and how futile the Gen Z youth uprising is. But let me start with the president. Since we have had Jomo Kenyatta, Daniel Arap Moi, Mwai Kibaki, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and now William Samoei Kipchirchir Arap Ruto. If you look at all these presidents, they have always sided with the people who are against police. But Kipchirchir, even when the police are openly wrong, he has sided with them. Let me start from the beginning. Jomo Kenyatta. Jomo Kenyatta underpaid the police. You see, police and all the presidents, what they have been doing, they have been siding with the military and really attacking. Any slight thing, they attack the police. Why have they been siding with the military? If you remember, during Jomo Kenyatta's time, that is 15 years, you add Moi's 24, that is 39 years. For 39 years, it was a fashion worldwide and especially in Africa for the military to overthrow the government. So both Moi and Jomo, what they did was they tried their level best to befriend the military. You'll remember the Mau issue. We are having a problem of people who occupied Mau forest. One of the areas in the forest is called Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone. Police went there. Police who went there were under. Police went there. I can't recall the police officers who went there. But I remember recently when people were talking about police going to Haiti. Some people even mentioned that police have gone to Somalia and have gone to West Africa. But when military people went to Sierra Leone under General Opande, they were given land. The forest was hived off and they were given land. That is why the land was called Sierra Leone, for those soldiers who had gone to Sierra Leone. Now, but generally during that 39 years of Kanu rule, the main reason why the president would favor the army was so that he is not overthrown by the army. But any slight, well, they say what? You are innocent until proven guilty, isn't it? But when it comes to the police, they used to be guilty until proven innocent. I remember Jomo Kenyatta, policemen one time talked to him indirectly. They talked to him indirectly by trying to tell the president that their salary, they were being underpaid. They did it for a very long time. Kenyatta knew, by the way, if there is anybody who could read your mind before you start talking, was Jomo Kenyatta. So every time they talked indirectly, Jomo Kenyatta knew what they wanted. But what did Jomo Kenyatta do? Jomo Kenyatta used to pretend not to know what they wanted. Until one time, they just went directly to the president and said, we are being underpaid. It is a long time that the police, look at the police. A police officer, even the time I joined the police, starting salary was 885. You are coming out of Kiganjo, having trained for 6 months, strenuous training. During my time, TTC, Primary Teachers College, people used to train for 1 year. It is Moi who made it 2 years. But now they're having diploma course, they are 3 years. So during my time, it was 1 year. Now you come out of Kiganjo after 6 paramilitary months, and you get the same salary as a teacher who has trained for 1 year in an academy called Teachers Training College. An OCS used to get the same salary as a primary school head teacher. For a long time, that was the equivalent. So I wanted to say that because the first major, I don't know whether another one followed, but the first major and effective salary review for the police was done by Moi in 1988. But I was still in the 60s when police officers complained. Was it late 60s or early 70s? People complained, police officers complained to the president. They tried to use indirect way of talking. And as I've said, there is no human being who has ever lived in Kenya who could sense what you want to say before you even started than Jomo. So whenever they would want to talk, Jomo knew. And whenever they would talk through parables, Jomo knew even before the meeting came. And he never answered them. So one day they got courageous. They said that if we don't tell the president directly, he will not understand. So one day there was a passing out in Kiganjo, and the senior police officers told Jomo about the low salary. If you remember those days, police officers used to put on a very large short trouser which reached there. It was like a skirt. It used to reach the knees. So when everybody talked, it was the last time for the president to talk. And when the president talked, he said, I want to ask you 2 questions. He said, look at your head, look at your cape. Of course, the recruits could not look at it because they were on parade, but other police officers had removed their capes and looked at it. He said, ni nini unaona hapo? They said, crown. He said, kulia crown. That is where the word kulia crown started. The second question he wanted to ask them, he asked them to put their hands into their pockets. They put their hands into the pocket. They asked them, your civilian clothes, if you compare your civilian clothes with the official trouser that you have they the same pockets? Don't you think that the police trouser has a bigger pocket? They said, yes, it has a bigger pocket. What is the use of you having a crown on your cape and big pockets? Indirectly, he was telling them that they can be bribed. and that is where it started. Kulia crown. Kenyatta had a two relationship. With the military, he was careful that those are the days when there are military coups everywhere. And with the police, he had a record that of the mistreatment that he had before Kenya attained independence. Come to Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi is the only president who has been slapped by even an inspector of police. And Jomo Kenyatta was being mistreated by police as a suspect, as somebody who has been arrested. But for Moi to be slapped, his vehicles to be, and all that he did, most of the people who used to do it were police officers, including one, James Ephantus Mungai. So Moi hated police. And of course, with the military, he had to take care, because even during his time, there were so many military coups. But Moi did something that no other president has done. He doubled the salary of the police officers. He doubled the salary of police officers on 1st July 1988. A police officer who was earning 1,750 shillings shot up and started earning 3,750, somewhere there. No, 3250, yeah. From 1750 to 32, from 1,750 to 3,250. That is almost double. That is the month that I was promoted from constable to inspector. So I was getting 1,750 June 1988, and in July 1988 I was getting an accumulative salary of 4,500. That is the only time any other president has sided with the police. Now let us come to Ruto. His closeness with the police, if you ask me, has to do with last year. You see, Kenyan army or Kenyan military, they cannot even imagine overthrowing the government. The world has gone on. The world has shifted. So military is not even a threat to the government in Kenya and elsewhere. Now, why should Ruto side with the police? I've said in another tape, can't recall which, but I'll repeat it now. The friendship, the closeness with the Ruto and the police came at the time when young people or young boys started caricaturing the president in a coffin. That is the genesis. That is when, whether directly or indirectly, the president allowed the crackdown on social media. That is where it started. I have talked to various police officers, and especially police officers who are in command. Those in command. The OCSs, the OCPDs, the county police commanders, and even the regional police commanders. They have this hatred of social media, such that, and I've told several of them, if you don't want social media, there are two ways. The first way to do is talk to the government. Let the government take the motion to Parliament and let the Parliament pass a law. Or two, do what Tanzania and Uganda do. Tanzania and Uganda, they have a law that allows for social media. But during election time, Uganda and Tanzania switches off all social media for up to 3 years, for up to 3 days. Now nothing happens. Have you ever heard Museveni or Magufuli or Mama Saumu Samia? Have you ever heard them being anything happening to them because that they have switched off the social media? Nothing happens. So why don't you switch off? So what they do, what the police nowadays do, is that they mark you, but they can do nothing about you. What happens is, if you are a social media person who goes on social media regularly, all they need is just somebody to come and complain. Even in a case that they know that stands no water. Like in Jerry's case, they knew. They arrested her on Thursday because on Friday was a public holiday. The thing that they wanted was just to place her behind bars from Thursday to Monday. Then on Monday they go to court and the case is found to have not to be. In the first instance, they did not even want to take action against Njeri. It is just that they were a police cell. An hour is like a day outside there. Now for Njeri, 3 days, how many is that? 78 hours. That is a whole year. That is what they want. So what they do is that if you are a social media person, pray God that nobody complains about you. I want also to talk about this young man who is in Kino before I talk about State House. I want to talk about this young man who is in Kino. What he did is, I don't think he's in under arrest. No, I don't think. What he did is that he took his phones and placed it in his house and went away. The reason is he knew the police were after him, and he knew that the police would track down the phones. And that is how they tracked the phones and broke into his house. Let me tell you, and I have the pictures of my iPhone. I want to bet that young man, when he gets his phones and his electronics, you see, it is quite possible that those electronics have never been opened up, and they could be new, they could be iPads, they could be whatever, they could be iPhones. I said, when my iPhone was taken and when my iPhone was returned, it was not in the same condition. These people go and dismantle your thing and then later declare that there is no case. I am a victim of that. So that is what happened. And I am not talking tribal, but what I know is that some tribes in Kenya, they fear dead. Some tribes in Kenya, they fear dead. We, the tribe that I come from, dead, and our neighbors, our southern neighbor people, death is everything. Funeral is everything. That is where the whole people, in where I come from, people say, Amasika nikobi cheni wasikala. They say that funerals is the only best place for people to congregate. And our neighbors to the south, you get an old man of my age, when he's about to die, he starts telling his sons that during my funeral, I don't want anybody to leave this place without being properly fed. So we have traditions that a funeral is a feast, funeral is a festival, funeral is ABCD. But we have some tribes or whatever where being associated with death, where someone has to go and have counseling. So when young people did that, the police were given the red, what do you call, a blank check. You see, a check that is signed, and then you are told, you go, just write whatever is needed, whatever. What I would ask the president is, this is a balancing act. Yes, both sides are wronged. Please be neutral. Taking your whole support to the police. And in Kenya's history, since Kenya's attained independence, apart from Wagala massacre, apart from Lotr, apart from Mount Elgon, it is only Mount Elgon that I did not participate. These other two I participated in. Apart from those massacres, we have never had a case in Kenya where a girl delivers a baby in a police cell, the baby dies, the girl is released. We have never had a case that hardly a week goes by before hearing that somebody has died in a police cell. It is happening during Ruto's time. And what does Ruto say? He says he has completely trust in them. Let us handle things case by case. Now, Occupy State House. They say in English that failing to plan is planning to fail. What plans have you after occupying State House? What next? We saw you occupying Parliament, isn't it? What was gained or lost on you? Let us not talk about Parliament or anything. What did you youth gain or lose after you occupied the Parliament? There are countries in the past where youths of your age overran parliaments. We have cases. Don't forget that one time I was your age. Don't also forget that at one time I was even younger than what you are. When I was in Form 4, university students overran the Iranian parliament. They also overran the palace and removed Shah Reza Pahlavi. What was their plan B? After removing Shah Reza Pahlavi, they brought in Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. We have Romania. Romania, they surrounded the palace and got Ceausescu. They had a plan to do that. In Sri Lanka, in 2022, they did the same. And when they overran this, they said, we just don't want the president. The parliament went and placed there a second person. Recently, the president of Korea, South Korea, signed an executive order where he was ordering the army, the parliament was going to overrule him. He ordered the army to go and surround the parliament. The people went to the palace and removed the president. You see, those are justifiable things. Those are things that were planned, and those are the things that used to be planned and used to happen and used to be successful. Yours is just remove Ruto, remove the government, remove everything. Just remove, nothing else. And I can also say two other cases. One when I was your age, Soweto uprising in South Africa. You have heard of places called Soweto, in Kibra and in Embakasi. Soweto uprising came because of the then government did not want, the then government, which was Boas, that is originally they came from Holland. They said that their language, their I don't know, Bo language yao inaitwaje. But then in South Africa, the South African Boers named their language as Afrikaner. So they said, just like in Kenya, Swahili is compulsory in school. They said that Afrikaner would be compulsory. That was 1977 when I was 16 years old. The Soweto people started demonstrating until the South African government said that Afrikaner language is optional for those who want it. We also have the Arab Springs. Arab Springs, governments were becoming dictatorial and ruling class were becoming rich overnight without the richness going down to the poor people. They did their Arab Spring, and if you look at the Arab Spring, most of it, the new governments became better than what the other ones were. But then the question is, when you go to State House, what is your end plan? What is your end plan? And my understanding of the thing is that you're committing treason. You're committing treason. You scaled the parliament. Okay, you scaled the parliament, entered the parliament. What did you do? And then came out. Let us now talk from your side. You also went to the Supreme Court in the CBD and entered it. What did you gain? In the world today, during my time when I was your age, overthrowing the treason meant targeting the president. But now, you don't have to target the president. Treason is a three-faced individual. Today, we have three arms of the government that check each other. By scaling the Supreme Court, that is treason. By scaling the parliament, that is treason. And by scaling the State House, that is treason. We have also to look at issues. Let us look at those of last